Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Wednesday, December the 15th. The year's 2021. Let's talk trading. Keeping it simple. Know your platform. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Your platform is one of your main tools, and it's always interesting when I'm talking with other traders and they want to do something, and I go, well, you can just hit, you know, F11 or something like that. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, if you're on MT4, um, you might want to learn all your function keys. You might want to learn all your control keys or hotkeys, um, because it could make the difference sometime. If you're doing something that takes 3 steps, and by the time you complete it, you see price move against you, where if you would have done it, the quickest, fastest way, the easiest way, the simplest way, you might have been out at break even or a small profit. So it's really simple to take the time to learn your platform. But usually, once you get past, buying and selling, and maybe plotting a few lines or loading a couple of indicators, most traders just stop. They haven't read the MT4, user's guide or anything like that. And there's some other platforms I've used over the years. I think I've probably used 3 or 4 platforms. And the big one is always, knowing the ins and outs. So, maybe on the weekends when you're not trading, or sometime when the market's moving slow, like an afternoon for me during the Asian session, you just go through. And you don't have to learn it all at once, but just take the time, learn a couple of new things a day, or just if you just learn one new thing a day, at the end of the year, and you trade, say, 200 days out of the 250, that's 200 things you've learned. So, in the keeping with this month's main theme, keeping it simple, take the time to really get to know your platform. Here on the monthly, we can see the pound is still down from the open, still a red candle, and we're still in the previous month's wick zone. All the gaps have filled on the weekly chart, and you can see we are now 9 pips above the weekly open. Weekly open on my platform is at 32.30, call it 32.40, which just so happens to be the beginning of the launch pad, what I like to call the launch pad for the pound. Looking at the opening range chart, you can see today's high is above the opening range for the week, but since we hit that high, we crossed below the opening range low for the month, which was at 32.61. So when you're trading these horizontal line type trades and prices between 2 horizontal lines, basically what you're looking for price to do is break out. If you didn't take the trade when it crossed above the first line it encountered, when it gets between that first line and the second line, now you're looking for a breakout. And in this case, when it hit this line, it was green, so it was breaking out. And then if you look left, you see it failed to get above here, started coming down. Then right here, you probably should have taken your profit, which would have given you about 6 or 7 pip profit here. And of course, if you did that and price reversed and went to the moon, you might be kicking yourself, but in today's case, you'd be happy because you would have saved your profit. And then when it came back through here, if you didn't want to take the trade back through it when it got in between the lines again, now you're back in that same breakout and it was coming down, but maybe you don't like to trade against the daily candle color, and I can't say that I blame you. Instead of trading against it, you look for trades that go with it, and that just makes sense. So 397 pips below the yearly open and 52 or 53 below the monthly open at this time. Price is within the inside bar from 2 days ago, and there was a breakout trade to the north. Let's see, we got 3 pairs at 100 or better, pound clocking in at 62. There's usually some more pips to be had at this time, but we'll just have to wait and see which way they expand the range of the day, if they expand it at all. We're heading back towards that weekly open, it looks like. And it looks like the red rats had a nice feast today. Very interesting. The smart rat is showing us something. It's below the 15 pip zone. So for some reason, high minus or 20% of the high minus close, I'm sorry, high minus the top, no, high minus the close is a little bit bigger than 15. So price is pulling back off of the high more than it's pulling back off of the low, because you can see the 20% or percentile here is below the 15 pip range. So that's kind of interesting. So in this case, it looks like the red rats are more likely to pull back further than the green rats. Here we're going, testing that 40 line. Okay, price near R1, bias is short. It looks like they nailed it there. Got close to R2, but not quite. And it was also telling you there's breakouts. Now we were looking at the weekly. It looks like we're right back to that weekly open level, which I said called it 40. So we took out the pivot on the weekly, took out the pivot on the daily, still not on the monthly. We're in yesterday's upper wick zone. You can see on our daily fibs, or I'm sorry, dynamic fib support resistance with the higher low, lower high trade. You can see we're coming up to the lowest high on the M1 chart right here. So if you like this setup, you know you want to wait for horizontal dots before you get in, otherwise you could get chopped. we've only had 8.3 on the support breakout from here. From here down. So usually you like to see this number somewhere around 12. We've had 5 pushes. You want at least 3, if not 4 or more. You can see price crossing the dot. And we've got a new dot. Now it's coming below. Now we've got horizontal. And so you want to trade with the candle color, not against it. And so as you can see here, there wasn't enough so we had a high of 42.8. That was only 9 points, not even a full pip. So if you took that trade, you'd be underwater. And that's why you have to wait for that horizontal. Support or horizontal highest, lowest high dot right here. And you also wait for horizontal support and resistance. So, you know, how do I know this? Experience. I've had my fingers burned more than once. In fact, a lot of times what happens to me, why sometimes I gave myself the nickname Mr. Inflection Point, I'll put the trade on, and for whatever reason, it won't get me until that high, and then this happens, and then I'm either underwater or I'm hitting a stop loss. So that's just a little tidbit if you were trading or considering trading this method. The wall-mall method with the price action simple chart, you can see here, red at the line, that was worth 10 pips. Once again, these aren't Harry hindsight trades. These are Larry live trades or Randy real-time trades, because this is a setup that we've been doing. I think presented this over a year ago, and it hasn't changed much. And it's simply taking breakouts, H1 candle across these lines, and looking at previous hours highs and lows, especially if they're inside the wall mall area here. We look to take the trade there. Sometimes this would be an add-on trade and it would have paid off nicely. Putting in a one ball here, you can see the range a couple hours ago, only 9 pips. So, you know, definitely muted trading range. Almost hit the lower ATR. Price has fallen, pulled back, crossed the weekly open. You can see we're in the lower rat zone. And still in the upper wick zone. So, fellow traders, if you haven't mastered knowing your platform, you might want to think about, just see, maybe you can find something that you didn't know that can really help you. Because remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.